Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Real X-Files. I'm your host, Nolan Barger, and I'm very excited to be back, and I know you all are as well. I hope you all had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. I know I did, except for one little thing. I was telling my coworker about this earlier today, and I was like, those holidays that fall on a weekend, sometimes I don't know if I like them or not, because they get you out of that, work routine. And you have to get back into it, and you're tired, and you got a lot of excess work that's piled up over the weekend. But anyway, with all that being said, I still had a wonderful Labor Day, wonderful weekend. I hope you all did as well. And, let's top off all of that with this episode of The Real X-Files. Now, first of all, let's just go ahead and address the elephant that is in the room. Yes, we have some video. Finally. It's been a little while. This is something that I'm hoping to continue to add more of into our podcast, including our main show episodes and moving forward. I know we've already announced our documentary, The True Mothman Prophecy, that's going to be released here, Lord willing, within the next year or so we're looking forward to that. But, we want to incorporate videography as well in our podcast. So we're going to start it off in the bonus episodes and just keep working our way out. So I hope that you guys continue to enjoy this. I will say that video is only going to be available on YouTube and Patreon. So everywhere else, obviously like Apple Podcasts and Amazon Music, they don't support video, so it's just going to be the audio. I also hope that many of you have been greatly encouraged by Silhouettes of Fear Part 1. It seems that many of you have been enjoying that episode, and personally, for me, I really enjoyed putting that episode together. I enjoyed getting together with Isaac, doing the research, and putting it together, and I hope giving you all something that you can all walk away with a good application into your lives. I know we said before that phenomena is more on an individual and personal level, and I hope that we were able to really encourage people, those of you who may be experiencing that, as well as those of you who haven't, but need to know about the topic to prepare yourself and help other people, as well as spread the good news about Jesus Christ. So with that being said, let's dive into what today's episode is really all about, the Real X-Files, and the FBI's involvement in supernatural and paranormal activity. Today was crazy, the day after Labor Day, and I was at my work table. I work for a commercial construction masonry company, and I was on lunch, and while I was on lunch, I was doing some research for the podcast, and I was on the FBI's Vault website, and while I was there, I was just making sure, okay, do I have all of the X-Files that they have released to the public so far? I found out I did not. There were at least another 400 to 500 pages worth that I did not have, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get these immediately. So I started printing them off, and lo and behold, one of them caught my eye. And that is the one we are going to be talking about today. For the first time ever for our podcast, we are going to be discussing UFOs and extraterrestrial activity. According to this file, which is number 3221950, subject says Guy Hotel, which in my opinion sounded really, really weird until I started reading what it was about. I'm not exactly sure 100% why they named this file that, but the contents of this file are absolutely amazing. But first of all, before we dive into this file, we need to discuss what are UFOs and what are ETs. Now, the last two episodes of Season 1 are going to be entitled Alien Agenda Parts 1 and 2, so I don't really want to give away too much for what we're going to be doing a deep dive into in those two episodes. But we will just scratch the surface. Number 1, what are UFOs? UFOs stands for Unidentified Flying Objects, which means exactly that. A UFO can be anything that is simply unidentified and that is flying through the air. A lot of times UFOs turn out to be natural phenomena as well as military aircraft, but there are several, and very few and far between, but they do exist. UFOs that remain unexplainable. 2. What are ETs? ET stands for extraterrestrial, and what this basically is implying is that somewhere else within our cosmos, within our universe, there is another intelligent biological life form. And it's only, theorized, but I mean, it can be theorized that at some point we're going to make contact with these biological entities. And that's what aliens are. They come down to our Earth, we see them, and that is what an ET is. So with that being said, that is the very, very basic, fundamental things that make up ufology. Ufology, by the way, is the study of UFOs. Now, for a long time now, it has been theorized that our government, including the FBI, have been researching UFOs and extraterrestrials for a long time. And the cause and the reasons why, we are not 100% sure. We don't know why they are doing this. But there really has not been 100% concrete evidence supporting the fact that our government is A, doing UFO crash retrieval cover-ups, which we'll talk about in a minute, and just overall research in general, and also trying to reverse engineer UFO technology. Now, I think this file that we are about to dive into may prove some of this to be surprisingly and shockingly true. So let's dive into this file and see what it has to say. This file is dated from March 22nd, 1950, and clearly reads, an investigator for the Air Force stated that 3 so-called flying saucers had been recovered in New Mexico. They were described as being circular in shape with raised centers approximately 50 feet in diameter. Each one was occupied by 3 human-shaped bodies, only 3 feet tall, dressed in metallic cloth of a very fine texture. Each body was bandaged in a manner similar to the blackout suits used by speed flyers and test pilots. According to a Mr. and this is blacked out informant, the saucers were found in New Mexico due to the fact that the government has a very high-powered radar system set up in that area, and it is believed that the radar interferes with the controlling mechanism of the saucers. And that is what is in this file. This file is literally only 1 page long. It has, if you can see the video, a cover sheet and that. And that's it. So wow, what are we reading here? Is it possible that our government has been doing crash retrieval UFO cover-ups and has, in just this one instance, 3 50 feet long UFOs along with 9 dead alien pilots? Well, I'm here today to discuss that it is more than fairly possible, and that it should be considered a reality. First of all, we need to explain what is a government UFO crash retrieval cover-up. I know that is a mouthful, but let us dive into this and figure out together what this really is and what this really means. Well, for starters, I'm sure many of you have probably heard of the famous Roswell UFO crash. Allegedly in 1947, near the small town of New Mexico, Roswell, a UFO crash landed there, and very soon the military all swooped in, collected everything that was there, and left. Many eyewitnesses that found the crash before the military did said that it was a large saucer-shaped craft along with several dead alien pilot bodies. That's when the military came in, told them not to tell anyone what they saw, and the crash retrieval was never seen again. No one knows where this stuff went to, although it is theorized by many that a lot of the things that were found at Roswell went to Area 51, which we're not going to talk about too much about because I want to save that for future episodes. But basically, that is what a UFO cover-up is when there's a crash, the government swoops in, cleans the place out, takes all of the evidence, and hides it to keep it for themselves and to possibly reverse engineer the UFO technology that they have discovered. Now, for years and years, there has been no 100% definitive proof that the government has been doing these cover-ups. That's only been in eyewitness testimonies, and it's always kind of been up in the air. There has been evidence gathered, but again, like I said, it isn't 100% proof like we have video evidence of them doing it. It's more little bits and pieces, and I would say that this file is just one of those little puzzle pieces that at the end of the day, when you see the whole big picture, you're like, oh, yeah, something really did happen here. Now, in order to keep this discussion going, how do we, or personally myself as a Christian, explain UFOs and extraterrestrial intelligence? Because I'm sure many of you are thinking to yourself, if you're a Christian and you know me to be a Christian, does no one actually believe in real UFOs that are piloted by little green men from Mars? Well, the answer is yes and no. Here's what I mean. Starting off with UFOs. I believe UFOs are real because of the fact that it can be natural phenomena and military aircraft. I also believe that they can be real in another sense, that they are appearing to be something that they are not. We'll get to that in a minute. As for extraterrestrial intelligence, I sincerely do not believe that somewhere in our galaxy, let's just use Mars as an example, I do not believe that there is another biological life form that has evolved on another planet and could possibly come here. So the kind of aliens that we see in movies, I do not believe that is real. But again, I do believe it is real in another sense. And here is why. As a paranormal investigator, the first thing that I have learned is that nothing is always as it seems. And things can appear a certain way, can present themselves a certain way, when really it's all a facade, it's all a mask, it's all a play. And I would definitely say, and you probably already know where I'm going with this, but demons are extremely, extremely intelligent and know what play that needs to be played for a particular time and culture. So with that being said, during ancient Greece, they made themselves take on the form of the ancient Greek gods to get people to follow them, to believe in them, and not follow the one true God. But as time's gone on, they can't use the same play anymore. They need to find something else. And so they look at civilization, they look at the culture, they look at the time period that they're in, and they say, what can we do to fool these people? To basically make these people walk away from God even farther than what they are now. And if you think about aliens brings several different messages with them. Either A, that life has evolved somewhere else and that evolution is true, there is no God, and that we're just one race of many races in the galaxy that have all evolved from one little speck of slime that somehow just popped up from nowhere. Or B, that there is another higher race of being and that Jesus Christ was just an alien and that we simply misinterpreted what he came here to do. He was coming here to enlighten us and give us the ability to become more like gods ourselves, which is what aliens are, a higher level enlightened being that is able to control different dimensions, create these crafts and technology that seems almost completely magical and foreign to all of us. And all you have to do is open up. All you have to do is to evolve and become more and more like them. Do you see how dangerous every single one of these belief systems are? And every single one of these things is pushed by the whole idea of aliens. Now, I know many of you are probably scratching your heads and saying, I'm really positive that aliens didn't say Jesus was an alien. Well, that's where you're wrong. There have been hundreds of encounters with aliens where the person says that they told them that Jesus Christ was merely an alien, and we all misinterpreted what he came here to do. And to be completely honest, I don't know how much more demonic you can get than that. Now, many of you probably by now are saying, okay, that all makes sense to a certain degree. But how is it possible that there can be a real UFO crash, 100% physical, that I can go up and touch, as well as a real dead alien body? How is that possible? And to answer that question, I would refer you back to several of our main show podcast episodes, such as episode 2, Digging Deeper into Ghosts. Basically, what we outline is the fact that demons can appear in physical form, all the way to the touch. This is best seen in Genesis chapter 19, when the two angels come in unto Lot, and they actually physically grab him and restrain him and his family. Now, some of you might say, well, those are angels. What about demons? Well, just because a demon is a fallen angel doesn't mean that it would change their abilities. If I am a good guy and I all of a sudden decide I want to be a bad guy and go and rob a bank, it doesn't change who I am. It merely changes my motive. And so with that being said, I think we can apply the same idea to angels and demons. All the angels at one point used to be good until some of them, they changed their motive of intent of good and evil and left the good guys. And now we have them and they have the same abilities. They're just using them for a different end goal. And that is to ultimately destroy mankind as much as possible before the return of our Lord Jesus Christ. We also see, therefore, in the Bible that since angels can take on different forms, demons can as well. So I believe a demon could appear as a 100% physical to the touch alien. Now, what about the UFO that's spinning behind him? How is that possible? Well, throughout the Bible, we see angels manipulating matter, which again, we go more in depth in this and digging deeper into ghosts. But essentially, angels have a way better knowledge and understanding of our working world. As humans, we can only break down our atom to a certain point. I believe angels with their